they have not had the appropriate time to socialize. And so for that, you have to start small. The number one thing that I tell people when they come to pick up a breeder release dog from me is make a small area for that dog, because it's going to be freaked out if you bring it into your huge 2-floor house and expect it to just run with the wolves. Some of these dogs will pick it right up and they'll watch what your other dogs are doing and they'll be fine. Like my little Guinea Boopert, she really struggled at first, but now she's the most social dog ever. I would have lost the bet if you said, is this the same dog? I'd have been like, no.
And she came in December of 23, and this last picture was from August. So in 8 months, less than, because the one in May looks great. So in 5 months, completely different dog.
Oh my dog. Dog. Oh my dog.
Oh my dog, hey.
Oh my dog, hello. Toy episode.
We are choosing to talk about dog breeders and puppy mills because by the time this episode comes out, we will have taken in a large quantity of little dogs from breeders. And we do that fairly regularly. So we talk a lot about breeder release dogs.
More often than we'd like.
Yes. So we thought it might make sense to just dive in a little bit to what is a puppy mill, because a lot of times in rescue, if you get a dog from a breeder, everyone says, oh, it's a puppy mill dog. Well, that isn't necessarily the case. Not all breeders are created equal. And so let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a big difference between a breeder release and a puppy mill situation as far as the temperament of the dogs.
Yes.
So in a puppy mill, you can envision the things that you see on, the Sarah McLachlan music situation where they're in cages and they're stacked on top of each other and they're outside and they're not groomed and they're just being...
They're livestock.
Yes. And breeders can get into that situation as well. A breeder release dog, though, typically is going to come from where the dogs are more well cared for. They're probably groomed. They are likely up to date on shots. I mean, legally they have to be, kind of thing.
Well, and I always think of like a breeder is someone who has specialized in a specific purebred dog, or maybe like a light mix of two, right? So you might have sometimes like these poodle mixes. Maybe, but usually for me, like a reputable breeder in my mind means somebody that's smaller scale, has hand selected, genetically tested their dogs to make sure that they are appropriate for breeding, to make sure that that breed is meeting the standard in which it was created for.
And the reasons that we get breeder release dogs, there's a multitude of reasons. Sometimes these breeders get in over their heads and they end up with all of these dogs that either they mentally and emotionally can't let go of, or there's a mental health issue, or they have gotten stuck with multiple litters on top of each other, and so they're just over their skis and they can't handle it and they have to.
And once a puppy gets to be a certain age, it's pretty much useless to the breeder.
To them, right.
Because they're trying to sell it. And so if the dog is between, 12 and 16 weeks old, or whenever they decide to release them, once it gets past that and you start getting into like 20 weeks, people don't want older puppies anymore. They're going to buy a dog because they want a specific type of dog from a puppy on.
Yeah. And so even in the breeder world, like you said, there's reputable breeders and then there's not so reputable breeders.
Backyard breeders versus someone who actually has a legit setup with a few dogs.
Yeah, there's breeders out there that are like, oh, this dog's cute and this dog's cute. Let's have a litter and
I'm gonna
make
some
some money. Yeah. Well, by the time that you do what you should do for a mom dog, mother dog, what do you call that?
I don't know. Mama.
The mama dog. The prenatal stuff, all the checkups, the ultrasounds, the x-rays, and then having the litter, getting her through the delivery,
the time, the effort, the supplies.
and then all of whelping and the shots for all of the puppies and the wormer and the appointments and da 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 da. By the time you get to the end of that,
Your profit margin
what are we talking about here?
well, it depends on what kind of dog you're breeding. So, what were we talking about the other day? A specific breed of dog. But like a dog that is highly sought after and purebred and bred well, they can go for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But most of the dogs that we're helping with are going for around what we're that we're adopting them out, our adoption fee for around that $500 mark for a puppy, right? However, we are handling all of the vet work, just by the way.
Yeah, it costs
So
us
it's
$500 to.
So it's different.
Yeah.
These breeders are selling the puppy for $500, and then you have another $500 worth of initial vet visits to handle before that dog can even settle in as a member of your home.
And then you have to get it spayed or neutered.
Right.
That's another $500.
So things add up.
So I was driving through Ankeny the other day, and there's a sign on a corner in the urban, like in a Target parking lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What kind of puppies was it?
Was it Aussie Doodle? Or
No.
No. It was. Where did you post that? That was
On
your
my
Facebook.
personal Facebook page.
Yeah.
But $1,800 for these puppies. And I had to like go back around because there was someone behind me. I like had to go back around to get a picture of it before I stole the sign. But I'm like, what cockapoo puppies, family raised, $1,800.
Get out of here.
Are you kidding me? So $1,800 to buy it. I projected like $200 for the shots. It's probably more than that. That's so $2,000, $500 for a spay or neuter. You're talking $2,500 in a breed of dog. I mean, a mixed breed of dog that we get all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have a puppy. And I get it that people, want puppies and they think they're cute and it's all fun and, you get to have this dog forever,
for its whole
15
life,
years
yeah.
or whatever. But I'm just not a puppy person.
Yeah.
Now you got to potty train this thing and socialize it and train it and all the things. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I don't know.
And you're paying out to do that.
Oh, I remember what it was that I was talking to somebody about. It was golden retrievers. People who want a purebred golden retriever, they'll pay $5,000 to $10,000 for those dogs. There was one that was at the dog park that I saw, and I was like, "That is a really beautiful dog." And somebody said, "Yeah, they paid $8,000 for it." I was like,
"Oh
what?
my god,
not that cute."
No, I wish I had their problems.
Yeah, no kidding.
The breeders that we have worked with in the past, we have seen kind of the full spectrum from the backyard breeders, like with the Knoxville 13, where it's just a mishmash of multiple mixed breeds and then mixed on top of that. So we really don't know what they are. And they were in the greatest conditions all the way to, I don't know as though we've ever dealt with a reputable breeder, I guess. I can't say that we have.
No, I mean,
but on the higher end, where like the ones that are coming this Friday, well, it would have been last Friday when this episode airs. They all look a healthy weight. They've been in a home. They've been socialized. They're up to date on shots. They're up to date on grooming.
I think at one point she probably did a decent job of breeding and taking care of these
But she had a health issue, as it's on her public Facebook page.
Yeah, she posted
that she got behind, and
she was not licensed, from what we can tell by the state.
Yeah,
which
she's
means,
not on iDolls at all.
Yes, which means that she was supposed to only have 3 or less intact dogs for breeding. So probably 2 females and a male, right?
Yep.
And we're going to pick up 15 total dogs, or we will have picked up 15 total dogs from her. So we don't know the truth of what happened, but my guess is that somebody turned her in for having too many dogs and that she was breeding dogs without being regulated. And in the state of Iowa, you have to be inspected if you're going to have more than a couple breeding dogs.
Right.
So that's kind of the difference between a small scale breeder and a large scale. Anything over 3 intact dogs is inspected by the state within the state of Iowa.
Yes.
But then from there, you're either breeding on kind of a smaller scale level, but you might still be inspected but maybe have like 5 to 10 breeding dogs. And then there hits the puppy mill point.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when we're looking at multiple buildings, typically, on a site. Lots of breeds of dogs is a big indicator. Like if you go to their website, or if they say, we breed, and there's 15 different breeds of dogs, okay, how are you doing that well? And how is your, how are you keeping up with the husbandry of all of those animals?
Yep.
Like, they're not.
Facilities, care, the feed bill alone has to be
Huge.
insane.
Yeah.
But, and then grooming on top of that.
Yeah, because a lot of
So
these...
that stuff just doesn't happen.
No. Right. Yes. So they're getting junky food. They are not always getting all of the vet care that they need. They are letting their facilities go. So a lot of times when you read these inspection reports,
Yep.
you see, rusted through cages, sharp edges, cages too small for dogs.
Temperature not regulated, expired vaccinations, expired medical on premise.
Yeah. Dogs with injuries that have gone untreated.
That's a big one.
Huge.
Where they'll have like a skin infection or a sore that has now turned into an infection.
Right.
Because it hasn't been treated.
Right.
And that goes along there with the grooming too. You have a dog that, well, like the dog that Enzo that we had to do the sedated groom on.
Oh.
He had a massive yeast infection underneath a completely matted coat.
Yeah.
So
Gonzo, right? Gonzo, is that right?
Whatever.
I was like, who's Enzo?
There was a Z.
Yes, yeah. Gonzo was horribly overgrown fur, and it was, that was a hoarding situation. But a lot of times when we see conditions of dogs coming out of a hoarding situation, which is usually mental illness and, inability to let go of dogs, we see the same things happening within that breeder community and people that are trying to sell these dogs as well. Yeah.
So when you get a puppy mill dog, like my very first dog, that before I knew anything about any of this, before I knew anything about rescue or fostering or anything,
Right.
I bought off of Craigslist from some, kind of high level investigation, found out she was a puppy mill puppy.
Right.
And she's just totally shut down. I mean, mentally, they're just not a dog. They don't know that because they've never been.
They've never seen grass. They've never interacted with any human other than the one that comes once a day to give them food.
Or to snatch them up and put them in another cage with a
Yes.
male and.
Yeah. And they're not interacting with other dogs in an appropriate way, so they don't understand body language and social cues from other dogs and other animals. They've never seen, they may have been completely isolated alone in a cage, or they may be fighting for their food, water, things if they're in a cage with a lot of other dogs.
Resource guarding.
So this is creating a ton of behavioral, medical, mental health problems for these animals. So there are organizations like Bailing Out Benji who spend a lot of their time researching these breeding facilities so that people who do want to buy a specific breed of dogs, let's say a golden retriever, and you want to get it from a breeder who's doing the genetic testing to make sure that the things that golden retrievers are predispositioned to have, they may not have tested for that. So you might be getting a dog that's going to get sick in a couple of years, right? So they're doing that testing. That they're regulated by the state if they should be. If they are regulated by the state if they should be, have they had any infractions? What does that look like?
Are they compliant?
Right. So they also spend a lot of time, and the reason that Bailing Out Benji started was there was a pet shop in Ames who sold puppies. And Mindy, the founder of Bailing Out Benji, said, where did these puppies come from and how are they selling them for $3,000-$4,000 each? Like, what is the deal here?
Yeah.
Started researching, and then it spiraled and people started paying attention and understanding what that was. And so that's another big thing is these people are not only selling or raising puppies to sell to you and I who might walk up and say, I want a Yorkie. They're breeding in masses to ship out to big box stores who are selling puppies.
And they're financing them.
Yes. So
Can you imagine? And I know that we're a little jaded, and it's hard to set aside our experience and think about it from a an outsider perspective. But can you imagine walking into like Petco or whatever and financing a dog?
like I
Like,
need to
you
get a
finance
loan to
a
get it.
vehicle? Like,
And that
I don't,
and that
where does that
dog
thought process, like, yes, this seems right. This seems logical.
and they get him with that cute little puppy
What
sitting
the
in the
hell?
window, but it's like, my God, people get a clue.
Oh.
And so they're financing this purebred teacup, which I hate so much. It's not even a thing. Teacup Yorkie for $8,000. And then they get it home. And it doesn't have, I mean, it needs shots still. It needs spayed or neutered. And a teacup Yorkie is prone to falling into
plethora of-
so many illnesses so quickly. So not only do you have this $500 a month payment for this puppy, but now you've got a dog who's hypoglycemic, is having trouble regulating, even life alone. The number of stories of people who bought these itsy bitsy puppies, take them home, and then go into insurmountable debt trying to keep them alive. What in the world?
What's going on?
And then
here?
there's a whole industry that's just providing that product that people are continuing to buy because they're adorable. So that's the crux of like how Puppy Mills started. Was there is a consumer desire
right.
to
There's a market for
purchase
it. Yeah.
these animals.
If there wasn't, they wouldn't
be doing it.
Which is what we're starting to see more and more
Uh-huh.
now. And especially when COVID hit, everybody got a dog because everybody was working from home.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is a great time to get a dog because we're all home and we can train it together, and it's a, thing to distract us from our absolute misery
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
And so that was a big boom for the mill and the breeder industry. And then after that, there's what has been referred to as the COVID hangover.
Yep.
Where everybody has a dog, and everybody's now learning about rescues like Oh My Dog, and the shelters are pushing and pushing. Shelters are full, and all the commercials and everything like that. And so these breeders are like
Having trouble
they
selling
can't
$8,000
sell these
puppies.
dogs anymore, and they're like, we're done. We want to get out. Great. If you are done, if you're done now,
Yeah.
we'd be happy to help you out.
Yeah.
And take these dogs off your hands and find them good homes
Yeah.
and be done. If you just need to get rid of your stock because you want to bring in new stock, I'm here for it. Figure out your own problems.
Yeah. Yeah. We're very particular about what breeders we help and in what situations. So if I believe that I'm working towards the end goal, which is stopping the mass breeding of dogs that are just adding to the problem of the overfull shelters, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But if what we're starting to see is, and I'm calling it the fallout of what happened with COVID, all of these people bought dogs, adopted dogs, and now they're all coming back. 2024 has been the year of everybody returning that dog that they got between 21 and 22, because every dog we're getting is between 1 to 2 years old,
they're
or
not
2
cute
to 4 years
anymore.
old. They're not cute anymore. They have behavioral issues because nobody left them alone to learn what it's like to be a dog with a regular schedule, because we were all stuck at home, which is nobody's fault, but now they're not trying to work on fixing it. And so it's just this horrible cycle.
Yeah.
But we do really struggle with that, and we do try to vet when we get these requests. Okay, well, where's the dog coming from and
It's
why?
a hard call to make because, and our priority is always the dog. It's always the dog. So
Yep.
it's like, well, what's going to happen to these dogs if we don't take them? But
Yeah. I know. Well, it's the same reason that I think a lot of people bought puppies and have bought puppies, and I was one of them. It's like I got there, met the dog, and thought, well, if I don't take it and I don't buy it, who's gonna? And like, what's gonna happen to it? And I just
Right.
want to make sure it's safe and has a loving
Savior
home.
complex.
And yeah, you think that you're doing something great, but all the while you're perpetuating this industry that is breeding quite literal misery, and it's it's heartbreaking. Yeah.
It's really frustrating being on this end of it and doing as much as we do. I mean, doing this podcast and all of our social media presence and our website is constantly up to date thanks to you, and posting and posting and posting. And then I have Facebook friends like
Are buying freaking
are
dogs.
buying a dog, and I'm like,
What
and
are
they're
you
like,
doing?
they do these cute little announcements like, oh, Tater Tot coming June 21st, little, with a dog toy, like a baby announcement. And I'm like,
What? You need to clean house
hello?
on your Facebook.
I just saw you last week, and we talked about the rescue, and we talked about how crazy busy it is.
Why are you buying?
What are you doing here?
It's probably a doodle too, isn't it?
It's got, well, you're the breed identifier. I'll pull it up and you can tell me. It pisses me off. But I never say anything directly because that's your choice.
I guess, but
I can only do what I can do, and I can only educate, and you might still do it. So
yeah.
I'm not gonna waste my mental energy hating somebody for being an idiot. I mean,
yeah, I guess. I mean, it's like everybody knows that littering is wrong, but
right?
like people still.
It's like
throw
we're
shit out the
out
window.
here in the median just picking up trash, and our friends are driving by,
throwing a milkshake at us. Like, what the hell?
Throwing
That's
shit out.
exactly what it is. Yeah, we're just getting dumped on.
I did get a call on the bat phone the other day, and this lady, it was kind of a shit show phone call, which weird. She wanted a pocket pity, but she had health issues and health concerns. She wasn't very mobile or whatever.
What?
And I'm like,
that's the strongest dog you can get,
ma'am.
It's a bullet.
I
in
don't
a
think
dog.
that a pit mix is an ideal fit for you. And she goes, no. You've heard of them, right? Pocket pitties, they're only like 20 pounds. And I'm like...
It's the strongest dog you've ever tried to walk in your life. They are so strong.
I said, well, why don't you just keep an eye out on our website, and I'll take your name and number down.
Stop it.
And add it to our Do Not Adopt list. And...
What is wrong with people?
No, I didn't, but
No.
if her name does come up, I'm going to be like, okay.
Make sure she's not
Make sure we're getting the right fit here. Because, I'm sure she's a...
I think she probably likes the breed
Yeah.
and thinks that if it's smaller, it's going to be easier to handle. But I'm here to tell you, those baby house hippos aren't it. They are so strong.
Yeah.
Oof. No.
So if you are listening to this, if you're a supporter of Oh My Dog, please continue to spread the message. Thank you for sharing our posts, for sharing the dogs that we have available. And maybe we continue to make a effort in that way of posting information about mill dogs and about breeders. And
well, and that's part of why we have decided that we were going to sponsor part of this fundraiser for Bailing Out Benji, because like we said, we don't have time to legislate for change when it comes to the regulations of what's allowed in for fluff's sake, Frank,
this was
mini
the
Bernedoodle. A mini Bernedoodle. Are you first? Okay.
Well, anyway,
don't get me started on that, but okay. Great. But anyway, we're supporting other organizations who are also supporting this idea that large-scale breeding of dogs just doesn't work. You cannot take care of 300 dogs on a farm with a bunch of, and they never have any staff. It's always just a husband and wife handling. They never have anybody that comes to help them. It's just the husband and wife that goes around once a day, feeds the dogs, whatever. And it's just not sustainable, and it can't work for the quality of life for any of these dogs. So just please do your research. If you do really want an actual breed of dog, not a freaking mini Bernedoodle, but if you want like a dog that is well bred and you're going to buy a dog, fine. But do your research and find out where it's coming from and where is the mom. Ask that question.
Yeah. And I mean, my own father, I mean, he has a flock of sheep. He is, he needs a working dog that has the instincts and the genetics to do a job that needs to be done.
Yes. these are
I
okay
I
times.
understand
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
get that, and
These are
it's not
okay
just
times
because
to
it's
buy
him.
a
But I'm
dog.
just saying,
Yeah.
like, there are situations where I get it. The mini Bernedoodle ain't it.
No.
You know what I mean? You can get that at any shelter, any day of the week.
Well, and I'll tell you what, if the world of people who love doodles really, you want to keep getting that kind of dog and it's going to become something that we see forever, fine. But guess what? They're going to be in so many shelters and rescues in the next few years, even more. Like I say, that's the number one breed of dog that we get asked for help with is some sort of doodle because there's just an oversaturation of them in the market. And it's going to start becoming a real problem. And if you keep buying them for $8,000, you are the problem. Like, don't keep this happening.
And even when we get dogs in from these groups and they inevitably there'll be a pregnant female.
Yep.
And we have made that call before too. If they're at a safe,
if they're just pregnant,
right, we're going to spay them.
Yeah.
And it's not,
not that
that's going to be a whole nother debate too.
No,
don't come at me in the comments for this shit, but I'm just saying, like, the last thing anybody needs, especially that mama dog, is another litter of whatever.
10 freaking doodle puppies.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Which we just had a litter of 10 doodle puppies.
Yep.
So we do it. We do it when it's past the time that it's
appropriate
to do that. So
But for the health and safety of that mom dog, it's very rarely in the best interest to let her continue that pregnancy if it's early on, just because it's very hard on them and it takes years off their life every time they have a litter of puppies.
Yeah. Did we talk about what to expect with a mill dog?
That's what we need to wrap up with. Is kind of if you were to foster or adopt.
Yeah, we don't want this to turn people off from fostering or adopting mill dogs or breeder release dogs.
I think it's the most rewarding
dog
to bring into your home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you're always, like with George. George was a mill dog, and I never got a kiss from George. George was always uncomfortable, in my arms. If he decided he wanted to be there, he would sit there for a hot minute. But if you picked him up and set him next to you, he was like, I'm uncomfortable.
I don't know what to do.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
So it's just something to be aware of, that you're going to, and that's not the case with every dog. I'm not saying that, but it's just, you're going to have some quirks to work through and some things to learn about the dog, which you're going to have that regardless.
Yeah. So I think some of the things to think about when you bring home specifically a breeder release dog, whether it be from a large scale breeder or even a smaller breeder, they have not had the appropriate time to socialize. And so for that, you have to start small. The number one thing that I tell people when they come to pick up a breeder release dog from me is to make a small area for that dog, because it's going to be freaked out if you bring it into your huge 2-floor house and expect it to just run with the wolves and it's going to be fine. It needs some time to figure it out. Some of these dogs will pick it right up and they'll watch what your other dogs are doing and they'll be fine. Like my little Guinea Boopert, she really struggled at first, but now she's the most social dog ever. But she would not have been able to get there if she had not landed in a group of dogs, I'm convinced. However, she was pretty quick. George spent his whole life not quite getting there, but he was loved, and he knew he was loved and taken care of, and he felt safe in that way. He just wasn't sure how to interact with humans.
He just wasn't a super lovey dog.
Yeah, but the life
he
that
had
you
the
gave,
best eyebrows though.
He was hilarious. He had you knew exactly what he was thinking, and it was like, nope.
That was it.
Nah, nothing. So start small, have a small area for them. Expect that they're going to go on a hunger strike for up to a week. A lot of times when these dogs come out of a breeding facility or something, even any rescue dog, you can expect that they might not eat right away. But I do see that a lot. They'll come and they'll be like, I don't understand. What do you mean? Like, you're giving me this nice meal. Am I safe? What's happening? Who's going to try and take it? They feel on guard all the time. They are a flight risk because they don't know what freedom means.
They might not know what grass looks like, and so potty training can be a little more difficult, and they've never had to go outside, or they've never been let outside to go potty, so they just potty where they're at.
Yep. Boop, still to this day, pees on the concrete only.
George did get that figured out. He did go outside to potty.
That's good.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
It took couple
she
years.
goes
But
on the side. She goes on the sidewalk, and our sidewalk is kind of like tilted down. So
luckily,
yeah, so she'll pee, and it'll just kind of run down the sidewalk. I'm like, whatever, that's
rinse
cool.
it off.
Go ahead. Yeah. So there's some like weird little quirks that you'll notice, but there is nothing. And the people who foster for us who take these breeder dogs will tell you there is nothing more magical than being there at day one when they come from this facility to seeing day 100 when you get that that picture from your adopter and it looks like a real dog in a real life.
I think Carrie just posted something like that, didn't she?
Yeah, we just shared it on our page. So, and I actually sent it to the breeder who I'm trying to get to stop breeding so she could see how good a job we're doing at placing these dogs. But little Flurry was the most broken little Bichon ever. She like physically wasn't doing well. Mentally, she was a hot mess. Carrie says that Mario is still mad that she ever brought that dog home because it was such a struggle, even though she was fine by the end. They adopted her out, and she went from literally looking like the ugliest dog I have ever seen in my life, like shaved, not only just the fur, but like her soul was like nothing. She was, there was nothing behind the eyes. She was just dead. To now, after like 4 months or so, I think it's been, this fluffy, adorable thing that somebody would pay $8,000 for because it's been fixed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like she's just absolutely beautiful and adorable
and, she's smiling.
tiny, and her eyes are sparkling.
Yeah, if you look at
she's alive now.
Yeah, it was just posted today, so around the 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, that first picture, the poor dog's just completely broken. Just like
completely.
The eyes are sad and dark, and in this last picture, she's smiling and her tongue's
she's
out
laying
and
on
her
her
eyes
back
are all
and
lit
getting
up.
pets. Like, what in the world? You would not have been able. I would have lost the bet if you said, "Is this the same dog?" I'd have been like, "No."
And she came in December of 23, and this last picture was from August. So in 8 months, less than, because the one in May looks great. So in 5 months, completely different dog. So it just takes some time, some understanding, you know.
And like we said in the 333 rule episode, when you're talking about letting a dog decompress and then join your family and then bonding with you, typically that breeder release dog is maybe doubling that, but the reward is doubled as well.
Yeah.
I can't express enough like how fun it is to rescue these dogs and to make their lives whole. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And to be a part of that is addicting. So the people that have jumped in it with us, when they see these breeder releases coming, they're like, yeah, I want to be a part of this because I can fix, not only just rescue a life and find a home for it, but I can like solve this dog's like.
Be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For its whole life. Like literally changing a living being's life. Yeah. It's pretty special. So.
Well, with that said, we by the time this airs, we will have posted all of the Yorkie Shih Tzus that are coming. There's 5 puppies in there. There's all the way from 2 to 5 years old, I believe. There's males, females, the whole bit. So
yeah, transgender.
Come get your pick.
Yeah, whatever you want. And then we've also got a couple Pomeranians that'll probably be gone by the time you hear this, but
you can have whatever you like.
A little floofy thing, and it'll be rescued. It'll be spayed, neutered, have its vaccines. It's had a dental. It's going to be completely fixed up, ready to go. We're going to know as much about it as we possibly can before we send it on to its new home, and it's going to be magic. Yep. But it'll be a lot of freaking work while we're in it. But
yep. That's what we're here for.
Yep, to figure it out.
We figure it out.
Bye. We'll figure it
out.
Oh my dog.
What I mean when I see, what I feel, when I dream, when I be, I'm a freak. What up? Oh, what up? Everybody look at me when I'm free, when I feel, what I see, when I do it, I'm a freak. What up? Oh, what up? Say what we got, it's hot to spot, give up the drop, see what we got, do what, we got to go, the body flow, too hot to show, the front row, we won't stop.